Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: a 45-year-old bedridden woman of Lusaka seeks help from well-wishers. CHONGWE farmers call for relief food as they predict poor harvest. The Zambia National Union of Teachers calls for more investments in early childhood education. In international news, African laboratories training rats to quickly detect tuberculosis. And in sports news, Wolves signed defender Craig Dawson from West Ham for £3.3 million.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generational wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is inviting all skillfully gifted, talented and creative soccer players from across Zambia. Ages between 16 and 20 must come, train and join the club. The category of these gifted footballers have the chance to go and market their talent in Europe and USA through Camnet Stars Football Club, a team formed with a vision to produce quality international players. Please do not miss this brief open opportunity given to you. Camnet Stars Football Club could be your gateway to your international soccer career. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Date 12th December 2022 to 21st January 2023. Time 09 hours to 11 hours. Your time to shine is now.
Hello again. Another news in detail. Residents of Serenge district in Central Province have called for urgent rehabilitation of most roads in the district, adding that some areas will soon be unreachable due to the bad state of the roads. Those spoken to have told Camnet News that the roads have in a long time not been worked on, which has resulted in most of them becoming impassable. They have since warned that if nothing is urgently done now, children will stop going to school while accessing health facilities and markets will be impossible to some residents. Meanwhile, the area councillor says the local authority is aware of the situation and have applied for the procurement of construction vehicles under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, which will be used to do most works in the area. More in this report.
The state of most roads in Serenge district of Central Province leaves much to be desired, despite the district having one of the biggest manganese mines in Zambia, as well as housing the Mulembo Falls. The residents of Serenge are now concerned on the state of most roads in the district, which they say have never been worked on for many years. This is one important road leading to Mark Moffat College of Education and Serenge Boys Team School, which is almost becoming impassable.
This area, and the problem, the only challenge that we have is for this road, which goes to the Malcolm Moffat Teachers College and the other institutions. There is a boys' secondary school there, and the farmers, they are also using the same route.
Boys, na Moffat. Uyo musabona ubi kuli na ifofera fama no matokula pisha musefe yakulya uyu musabona tamwabombelepo tulefo uyu musebo mutubombelepo nga ifofe ba fama nangu na ba boys abana bali atabalenda buli
from town up to Malcolm we use this road, and there is not only Malcolm, even Sebo Technique. Even them, those guys, they have been using this road. But nowadays, according to the lane, you have seen that the road has been damaged. And me, I'm in second year, and this is not my first time coming here to Serenge.
Others have also questioned why they have not seen any roads being worked on, despite assurance from the government that resources for the Constituency Development Fund (CDF) have been given to each constituency.
Many musebo wa ishikwa musebo yule wa washutika kuma secondary town center even kuma farms uku abaingi baratenda ishipe amatawari amukosha so abakwatira many issue musebo wa many nani wa mapopio eno futi very important thing kabotati musebo wine musebo mo bashutika to secondary kwa bana college uku kokusanikiwa abantu abingingani so that we should look at it.
An area councillor identified as Mr. Yamba, when contacted, told this reporter that the local authority has no proper equipment to do the roads in the area, and that they have already made a request to have part of the CDF resources be channeled to the procurement of equipment, which will be used to do most roads in the district.
Most of the roads are bad, and the complaints that people are giving are genuine because they expect us to begin to work on those roads, but it's only that we do not have the equipment that would be required in order for us to work on the road. But we prioritize that in the CDF projects. We are getting this equipment. That is the first priority, so that we can equipment and the resources, then we can have most of the road work.
The residents are now worried that if government does not urgently intervene, most places in Serenge district will soon be inaccessible due to the poor states of the roads. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Villagers of Muzembela village in Njolwe area near Mikango Barracks in Chongwe district are fighting running battles with the Zambia army for their land. A check by Her Royal Highness Princess Cholwe Nkomesha at the said village revealed armed Zambia army officers demarcating the land despite a court order prohibiting them from doing so. The princess was in the company of a lawyer and other officials from the royal establishment were allegedly harassed by the Zambia army officers after confiscating their surveying machines and chased after the royal convoy, firing live ammunition in the air. She has since called for the quick intervention of relevant authorities, stating that the named army officers are abrogating both court orders and royal directives.
You want to kill the princess? You want to kill the princess? You want to kill the princess? You want to shoot the princess? You want to shoot the princess? You want to shoot the princess? You are ready to kill the princess? You are ready to shoot the princess? iwe. We are ready to die for our land. Do you want to count the yes,
A 45-year-old woman of Lusaka's Garden House Seed Shine area who has been bedridden for 2 years due to tuberculosis has called for support from well-wishers. Pamela Perry told Camnet News she was diagnosed with TB in 2018, but that when she started taking her medication, her condition deteriorated, leading her to becoming bedridden. She says all her businesses have collapsed and that she can no longer support her children, which has now forced them to abandon school in order to raise resources to buy the medication for their mother. More in this report.
Her desires of completing school and starting a family have all been put on hold as this 21-year-old Ilayamba is now forced to stay home to look after a sick mother, who is a late biological mother's sister who took her in when her mother died. Bedridden for 2 years now, this is a 45-year-old Pamela Perry of Lusaka's Garden House Seed Shine area along Mumba Road, who has been diagnosed with tuberculosis, which she says has deteriorated her health. She says when she started taking the TB medication, her condition worsened, which led to her becoming bedridden.
I think that time was in room 4. Mamine na yo pasinga kupasa ni mankwala kozi. Yone sa mchani shito mex si wanesa kuti kulitrace ya TB. Bwelani kuli wa doctor kozi nikakupasa ni kukata continue drug is strong ngakono ngeni. Ngapeza mlandu ina zenes. So ndefena bwe napeza kuti wa doctor kuja kweze libe napeza mwe nangu. Ndiye kuchecking na wazo tibile so beba nakaba doctor ujana kuikani ponsali ipo kashitani continue mami. Ndefena bwe la kuja nurse na hivyo nakaba tengani so chabe mami kulibe ngatija since na doctor wana kamba.
She, however, says in 2020 it was confirmed that she had TB hidden in her bones and that due to not having enough food, all the calcium in her bones was soaked up.
Last year, no bana walondola tawe ni TB treatment but mangwala ndani inshita so hata mami mwazofanya kauta continue ndio kunika manje ba wewe wake na bo checking na ba akabati taipeza mu spine ati twene ngalezo malongs na mchana so taipeza mu spine. So
the woman has since appealed to well-wishers to help her buy a medication, a wheelchair and some foodstuff needed to help her get back on her feet so that she can have her children and that of her late sister who she has been taking care of go back to school.
Meaning, unikao mkwala 6 hours. Nipezi kakuti baku the breakfast kulibe. Nzajia pena nkamenza peza kwa nzajia kuma 11 hours kuchika shitekata lunch na breakfast. So pa doctor anakamba mankwala yana ononga ma bones calcium inasira chuka cha kunenzo kuma mankwala aja na ya drug ili strong maningi so inaononga calcium so ndiye chilingisa ma bones omonso mkubaba.
Meanwhile, the 21-year-old has explained how her daily life has been since her mother got sick.
Usiku sipagona bakauka nipase komanzi nchiteko so nibinikile ko sometimes atana mbela kupya na vuni kula blanket futi na ikakumbala so chabe usiku once every day chikuru cha nipempa maningi ni drama za mankwa kwa sababu mimi bakamboenda maybe 9 hapo nizanka na hope yobwela ku school kwa sababu nifini sisa maningi kwenda ku school.
Emmanuel Piri, her biological son, and his cousin have all abandoned school to do piecework to raise some resources to buy their mother some medication and food, which they say they are failing to afford.
Kari wa mi kuchukira 2018 mewana mudwarira
Ms. Piri has also been denied the chance of benefiting from the social cash transfer program, as she was told her name never appeared on the beneficiaries despite registering. On the other hand, the promise of till death do us apart has crumbled for her husband, who is at the brink of abandoning the family due to her illness. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Rita Siamfunko, a dietary and nutritional consultant, is concerned over the increasing number of lifestyle diseases in Zambia, particularly gastritis, which has become a major contributor to dietary deaths the country is recording annually. According to the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, gastric cancer is the 9th leading cause of cancer mortality in Zambia. Ms. Siamfunko says the current state of gastritis in Zambia is worrying, in that the number of patients frequenting clinics and hospitals is not reducing, hence the need of treating this issue as a matter of urgency so as to reduce the burden on healthcare systems. Ms. Siamfunko explains that gastritis inflames the stomach lining, causing belly pain, indigestion, bloating, and nausea, a condition that affects all age groups, and if not treated and managed, gastritis advances into gastric cancer, anemia, pernicious anemia, worsened stomach ulcers, and stomach cancer. She has therefore urged the government to consider coming up with standards to monitor salt intakes, promote the consumption of fruits, vegetables, and seeing to it that every household plants fruit trees with gardens countrywide. A farmer of CHONGWE district in Lusaka province has challenged government to provide relief food to farmers that will be affected by hunger due to the late delivery of farming inputs in the 2022-2023 farming season. Speaking to Camnet News, Andrew Chulu, a farmer, says many farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program FISP in the district depend solely on the profit they make from selling their agricultural products, meaning that many of them will starve due to the anticipated poor harvest. He has further urged the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that the delivery of inputs for the 2023-2024 season starts on time to avoid the current scenario where farmers are still waiting for some of their inputs in January. More in this report.
The 2022-2023 farming season has been described by many stakeholders as chaotic due to the late delivery of farming inputs to farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program FISP. This has been attributed to a change in suppliers of the inputs, as well as the removal of beneficiaries who have been on the program for more than 5 years. As a result of these changes, many farmers across the country have been lamenting the late delivery of the inputs, with some in certain parts of the country not having received the full packages as of January 2023. A poor harvest has therefore been predicted by agriculture experts, as many farmers planted late, while many of those who had seed did not have fertilizer. A farmer in Kasenga ward of CHONGWE district in Lusaka province, Andrew Chulu, says the prevailing situation not only puts the country at risk of a poor harvest, but will also negatively affect farmers and their families at personal level, as they live off the profits of selling the crops. Mr. Chulu has therefore called on government to consider giving out relief food to cushion hunger among families that will be affected.
But what I'm thinking from the government is we need the minimum for the aid. Then we have people who cannot afford. We have that on record. So they are thinking for the government that we are going into February. When we have people will be, we have maize, but nothing. So we shall need the minimum for the old people, for those who are not to afford, so the government can come and assist our farmers in Kasenga ward. So we have a problem. Only a few have managed to have some products on the farm. Because we delayed that all fertilizer will come as usual. We didn't expect that the new system will start this year. So people were relaxed.
Kasenga Ward Councillor Bright Sacholi has also spoken on the prevailing situation.
The issue of climate That's what, deprive our community. But the distribution itself, okay, it was okay. But in terms of just payment, which it has taken, a long overdue for our community.
It is hoped that the agriculture sector will stabilize come the next farming season and that the inputs will be distributed on time, both to the benefit of farmers and the nation at large. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Chongwe District.
A clergyman, Bishop John Mambo, says the church should not sit back and watch political violence become the order of the day during elections. Speaking to Camnet News, Bishop Mambo says it has come to the attention of the church that vote buying and electoral violence have been normalized in Zambia, in contrast with the country's democratic tenets. The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, recorded political violence in Itala ward of Luapula province and Kapanda ward of Northern province, which occurred during the campaign period of the ward by-elections held on Friday, 20th January 2023, incidents currently being investigated by the Zambia police. 4 ward by-elections were held Friday, namely in Itala ward of Luapula province, Kashikishi ward of Northern province, Kapanda ward of Northern province, and Nyatanda ward of Northwestern province. More in this report.
Zambia's political space has in the recent years been marred with incidents of political violence during general and by-elections, and the picture even in 2023 shows that the country has continued on the same path. This was the case in the campaign period leading up to the just-ended forward by-elections that were held on Friday, 20th January 2023, as the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, recorded violence in 2 of these forwards, namely in Itala ward of Luapula province and Kapanda ward of Northern province. While ECZ has indicated that the Zambia police is actively working on bringing perpetrators to book, stakeholders are not happy with the continued occurrence of this vice, calling for a change of approach. Among them is Chikondi Foundation President and clergyman Bishop John Mambo, who says the church should amplify its voice in speaking against the vice.
We mustn't do things that in the past we are saying these are things we do not want. I'm talking about, I don't want to vote for you because you've insulted me or because you have given me a bag of 50 kg roller meal and promised me to change it all that. I want to vote for you because you deliver. Councillors are very important. People don't know. These are our MP at our doorsteps. These are the people working hand in hand with the area member of parliament, and now that the CDF with World Development Committee and all that, you can see development in an area. Now, you do not vote for people because they have given you a sack of money and all that. At the end of the day, you lose out yourself because they won't deliver. If you are greedy, if you are good in giving, it doesn't mean that you are soft. You are just greedy. You are hiding your greediness elsewhere. The moment you are elected in the office, everything changes.
The Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes, SACOD, has also spoken on the trend of political violence through its executive director, Boniface Chembe.
These exist to ensure that peace prevails, and we need not to consistently or we need not to allow for acts of electoral or political violence to continue characterizing by-elections when they do take place. By-elections or elections, generally speaking, are an opportunity for people to exercise their right to vote by way of legitimately choosing a leader of choice. And that choice can only be made if there is a conducive environment that does not intimidate them or influence them negatively to making that choice, and political violence tend to be a disservice in that regard.
4 ward by-elections were held on Friday, 20th January 2023, namely in Itala ward of Luapula province, Kashikishi ward of Northern province, Kapanda ward of Northern province, and Nyatanda ward of Northwestern province. The former ruling Patriotic Front has scooped Itala ward, while the ruling UPND Nyatanda and Kashikishi wards and the Socialist Party Kapanda ward. The by-elections came about after councillors of the said wards resigned in 2022. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Socialist Party National Youth Chairperson Simon Mulenga has charged that Zambians are fed up of the United Party for National Development's inconsistency in fulfilling their promises and are now looking for hope in other political parties. Speaking to Camnet News in line with the Socialist Party's victory in the just-ended Kapanda Ward by-elections in Northern Province, Mr. Molenga says Zambian citizens are suffering due to the high cost of living, which has negatively affected businesses and livelihoods across the country. The Socialist Party National Youth Chairperson has also expressed disappointment in the political violence that took place in the ward ahead of the by-elections on the 20th of January 2023, as this destroys credibility of elections. He adds that it is even more disappointing that even the ruling United Party for National Development UPND has been named among the political parties practicing violence, warning that they will quickly lose credibility and popularity if they continue on the same path.
You know, it brings so much joy to me as a young person to see that the Socialist Party has actually scooped a seat on the Northern Province in Lukasha and under the Kapata Ward. This is an election that was held under very strict and unfair competition, very unfair. We have noted with sadness that even the UPND, which promised that there will be rule of law and there will be fairness in the manner in which it shall be conducting political activities, has continued to run and behave in the manner that previous regimes have done. These are elections that are marred by a lot of political violence. There's unfairness. The police are biased. There's unfair development that comes to disadvantage the people. But of course, now it's showing that the victory belongs to the people. The people have woken up. The people are able to tell that if things are very difficult. The livelihood of many Zambians is difficult. The cost of living is high. All these challenges are not being addressed. Why should people visit or just see development when it's time for an election? I think Zambians are now awoke and they're able to see it.
This is Camnet Television Main News. We'll take our first break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Cabbages, onions, maize, potatoes, tomatoes, chilies. At Rainglow, we supply great quality irrigation for the mentioned crops and more at an affordable price. Get our 2,000 meter flat drip for as low as 2,900 kwacha, or our 500 meter round hose for 1,300 kwacha. Customize your own spacing with our 500 meter blank round hose going for 1,200 kwacha, ideal for orchards such as avocado, mango, banana, oranges, etc. Rainglow Irrigation, best quality, best price.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Zambia National Union of Teachers, ZANUT, has called for massive investments in early childhood education, stating that this could be key to reducing high levels of school dropouts at grade 7 and 9 levels. In an interview, ZANUT Director of Public Relations Godwin Maseka says the lack of serious investments in early childhood education could be the result of some pupils dropping out of school, while others still struggle to read fluently by grade 7. Stakeholders in the education sector have noted the lack of publicly owned nursery schools, showing the lack of regard for this level of education. Meanwhile, Mr. Maseka says the union will this year roll out a worker education program around the country to ensure that teachers are not found on the wrong side of the law through facilitating leakages.
Let us not equally forget our teachers at primary school level. Those teachers who are handling preschool, those teachers who are handling primary school. I want to encourage you, dear colleagues, that let us go flat out, that we make as many learners as possible. If you have 20, at least let's try to ensure that 19 of them break through, meaning they must be able to read and write before they go to grade 2. So every sector of our education system is supposed to be appreciated to ensure that at all levels quality is enhanced. Last but not the least, we are equally expecting improvement in the monitoring. The standard department this year is going to be funded heavily. The funding implies that all schools that have never been visited, for once, let's reach there to make the teachers appreciate that they also matter. In so doing, we are going to remind the teachers that even if they are in far-flying areas, the ministry thinks of them. The ministry is looking for quality to come from there.
Chief Ingwe of the Kaunde-speaking people of Kasempa district has applauded government and the export trading company for successfully delivering inputs to his subjects in his chiefdom. The traditional leader has, however, appealed for the early delivery of inputs in the next farming season, which should begin either July or August. He was speaking through his representative, Francis Sawomba, when export trading company ETG sales and marketing manager Siankoni Zulu paid a courtesy call on him at his palace. And export trading company sales and marketing manager Siankoni Zulu has assured that ETG will work tirelessly in the next farming season to deliver inputs on time. Meanwhile, one of the farmers, Emmanuel Mulunda, also commended government for the delivery of inputs, but appealed to government to consider bringing the inputs closer to the farmers. More in the following report by Krivat Chituta of NICE.
They have successfully delivered fertilizer to the farmers. Export Trading Company, ETG, are the suppliers of fertilizer contracted by government in Northwestern Province. No wonder ETG Sales and Marketing Manager, Siankoni Zulu, is here to appreciate and interact with traditional leaders. He has paid a courtesy call on Chief Ingwe of the Kaunde-speaking people in Kasempa district.
We applaud the new Dawn government for considering ETG to be one of the companies to distribute and to give the inputs to the farmers. For the Kasempa alone, Your Royal Highness, we were told to distribute 4,350 metric tons of fertilizer. We have delivered 100% what we were told in terms of distribution.
And Chief Ingwe, through his representative Francis Saomba, praised government and ETG for successfully delivering inputs to his subjects in his chiefdom.
Out of 4,300 metric tons that was actually delivered to Kasempa, part of it was actually received here in Ingwe chiefdom, particularly Kankolonkolo camp. His Royal Highness says that that is well received. Maybe the only issue that he has had, which is also well known by the government, is that fertilizer for this year reached the farmers very late. But his appeal to ETG as well as the government is that coming this year's season, 2023 to 2024 farming season, his prayer and hope and the expectation from ETG as well as the government is that fertilizer should be able to reach the farmers on time.
Farmers are elated with the delivery of inputs, though with appeals to make.
Nobe kwamba kwa uno mwaka na mambo ntambwire amboreja ichituburongo twatambura tuburongo bino kyakutamako tune kumweka kushupa na mambo kero kwa ntambwiro.
The successful distribution of inputs in the chiefdom has also excited the agriculture extension officer.
I would want to confirm that my camp has received the inputs in full, both top dressing and basal dressing.
Krivat Chituta, reporting in Kasempa district, Northwestern Province.
The president of the General Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist, Dr. Ted Wilson, is scheduled to visit Zambia from January 27, 2023 to February 5, 2023 to familiarize himself with the work of the Adventist Church in the country. Dr. Wilson, who is coming from the United States of America, will arrive at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport on Friday, January 27. In a statement issued by Southern Zambia Union Conference President Dr. Vani Munyumbwe, Dr. Ted Wilson will, on February 4, 2023, together with his delegation, worship at National Hero Stadium during a big Sabbath for everyone. You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take a second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation wealth is the way to go. House-grafted avocado plants, fruiting within 2 to 3 years, for sale at only 90 kwacha each. And ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Now in international news, in laboratories in Tanzania and Nairobi, rats have been trained to sniff out tuberculosis. Already known for finding landmines, the rodents could now transform the way the disease is detected. The African giant pouched rats work with scientists at the Apopo Project, a Belgian non-profit organization in Tanzania, because they can detect the smell of the deadly disease. A study conducted by Apopo in 2016 compared the accuracy of the rats to that of standard methods used in laboratories, such as smear microscopy, bacteria culture tests, and GenExpert, a rapid test for tuberculosis. Joseph Soka, program manager for TB at Apopo, said the sensitivity of the rats is as high as compared to microscopes, and as compared to other tests, the sensitivity is independent of HIV status. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
Tanzania's opposition Chadema party held its first mass rally since a ban imposed by former President John Magufuli was lifted. The 2016 ban was removed by current President Samia Suluhu Hassan, raising hopes of greater political freedom, and party workers are keen to make the most of the opportunity. She says we will organize as many rallies as possible to reach all wards and all villages in the country. The rally marked the 30th anniversary of the party's political registration. Supporters wore the party's colors, blue, red and white, and sang songs praising their leaders while just a handful of police officers looked on. He says, despite thanking the president for lifting the ban, our country needs a new constitution. A new constitution is unavoidable. We, opposition and ruling party, need a reconciliation on this, but for that we need an independent electoral commission. Supporters are cautiously welcoming recent developments as a move towards greater democracy in Tanzania. President Hassan has been in power for 22 months and is hoping to break with some of Magufuli's hardline policies. In laboratories in Tanzania and Nairobi, rats have been trained to sniff out tuberculosis. Already known for finding landmines, the rodents could now transform the way the disease is detected. The African giant pouched rats work with scientists at the Apopo Project, a Belgian non-profit organization in Tanzania, because they can detect the smell of tuberculosis.
Sensitivity of this rat is high as compared to microscope, smear microscope, and as compared to other tests, their sensitivity are independent of HIV status. That is, they can easily identify tuberculosis in people living with HIV, giving in mind that these people living with HIV, it's very difficult to be diagnosed by the standard tests, including gene expert and microscope.
Apopo is already known for training rats to find landmines, but training them to detect TB was new territory when they adopted the program back in 2008. Now the animals work in 21 medical centres in Dar es Salaam, as they are thought to be faster at detecting the illness than standard methods.
So the conventional laboratory techniques can take anywhere from 2 hours to even 14 days per sample, depending on what technique you use, while the rats would be able to accomplish testing of 50 samples within 2 hours. And this would be ideal in far places or remote places like Mozambique, or places in Mozambique which are rural.
According to the WHO, TB claimed the lives of 1.6 million people in 2021. The disease is the 13th leading cause of death globally, and it's hoped the use of rats might do away with the need for time-consuming microscope testing. One of the most recognized symbols of the horrors of the Atlantic slave trade was visited by U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Saturday. The salmon-coloured house on Gorée Island off Senegal was instrumental in trapping tens of millions of Africans in bondage over generations.
Ultimately, Gorée Island reminds us that the histories of Africa and America are intimately connected. Gorée and the transatlantic slave trade are not just a part of African history, they are a part of American history too. And we know that the tragedy did not stop with the generation of humans taken from here.
It's part of a 10-day trip aimed at rebuilding economic relationships between the United States and Africa. The building was known as the House of Slaves, from which enslaved people were shipped across the Atlantic, never to return.
In the United States, what's remarkable is how many African American men and women overcame the odds, created better lives for themselves and their descendants, and became central to our economy and democracy, building our cities, powering our industries, and bending the conscience of the United States and the world toward justice. And all of this in the face of systemic social and economic injustice.
Yellen acknowledged the impact of slavery and joined a list of dignitaries who visited the site, including former US President Barack Obama and South Africa's Nelson Mandela.
It's time for sports news now. Wolves have completed the signing of defender Craig Dawson from West Ham for £3.3 million. The Englishman, 32, joins on a 2.5-year deal and is Wolves' 4th January signing. Former West Brom centre-back Dawson, who has made 246 Premier League appearances, spent the past 2 seasons at the Hammers. Under new manager Julien Lopetegui, the club have signed midfielder Mario Lemina, winger Pablo Sarabia and forward Matheus Cunha. Dawson, whose last appearance for the Hammers was in the FA Cup win at Brentford on 7 January, was not registered in time to face City. He initially joined West Ham on a loan from Watford in October 2020 before turning that into a permanent move. He made 87 appearances and scored 5 goals in all competitions for the Hammers and started all 6 Europa League knockout round games last season as West Ham reached the semi-finals. He impressed against a Sevilla side managed by Lopetegui when West Ham beat them in the last 16 of the competition. To end Camnet Television main news, our headlines once again. 45-year-old bedridden woman of Lusaka seeks help from well-wishers. CHONGWE farmers call for relief food as they predict poor harvest. The Zambia National Union of Teachers calls for more investments in early childhood education. In international news, African laboratories training rats to quickly detect tuberculosis. And in sports news, Wolves signed defender Craig Dawson from West Ham for £3.3 million. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Luke 12, verse 11 to 12. When you are brought before synagogues, rulers and authorities, do not worry about how you will defend yourselves or what you will say, for the Holy Spirit will teach you at that time what you should say. Thank you again for watching Camnet News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.